Hey, it's me, Bobbert, and today I'm reviewing the Conduit 2 for the Wii. This game came out 2 years after the original, but nobody really talks about it. Let's find out if this game is better than the original. When the first Conduit game was released in 2009, development for the second game already began. It was officially announced in March 2010, and it was delayed until the Conduit 2 was released until April 2011. Not much beta footage I can find, but during the delays, High Fortress Software were listening to fan feedback by adding more control options rather than just the remote nunchuck of the first game, split screen multiplayer, and female characters. They also hired Matt Forbeck and Jason Breyer, who wrote the story for Borderlands, to improve the story compared to the first game, make it feel more like an adventure, and boy, did they make a big change.
Goodbye, Mr. Ford. I'll return to pry the ASC from your cold dead.
As I mentioned before, the Conduit 2 supports multiple controllers, but I'm using the remote and nunchuck with the Remotion Plus, which works pretty much the same as the first game, but with better aiming and shooting, and it tracks my motion a whole lot better, so I recommend that option. But of course, it does support classic controller, which is pretty much play like any other shooting game using a PlayStation 3 or 360 controller, pretty much. Let's start with gameplay first, since that's pretty short to explain. It's very similar to the first game. You just point and shoot, you can jump, throw grenades, and use the ASE to progress. For those who haven't watched the first, the ASE stands for All Seeing Eye and pretty much hack into computers. The only thing different is now you can run and flip over furniture using the pointer, pretty much to add cover for yourself. Like I mentioned earlier, it's very similar to the first. It controls very well, but now with multiple control options, this game is much easier to pick up. The story begins where the first game left off, with Michael Ford along with Prometheus inside the ASE going through the Conduit. They teleport to an oil rig, with John Adams already making his escape after defeating John Adams' men and that giant beast. He used the portal to Atlantis, where he meets up with Andromeda, a warrior who's been frozen for I don't know how many years, and well, I'm gonna spoil this for you. If you're hoping for something interesting to happen to her story-wise or even gameplay-wise, I'm sorry, but all she does is just get unfrozen, step 5 feet in front of her, and that's pretty much it. She's just staying in that one spot for the rest of the game. Pretty disappointing. Her main role is to guide Michael Ford to each destination to recruit more men and stop Adams once and for all. The weird thing about Andromeda is how she's pronounced Michael Ford's name. I know I shouldn't be making fun of people's pronunciations, but she says Michael Ford like in one word, like all together Michael Ford. So pretty much the way I've been saying it, I guess. When I first played this game, the tone from the first game compared to the second one was a bit surprising to me. The first Conduit game was pretty straightforward, not too serious, but never really jokes on itself. While the Conduit 2, on the other hand, made Michael Ford more like a Duke Nukem Knight by making small clips here and there and breaking the fourth wall a little bit. Michael Ford in this game is voiced by John St. John, and he is pretty much the voice of Duke Nukem, and he's pretty much playing Duke Nukem here, just a more PG version. And all the other characters like Prometheus and John Adams are voiced by different people as well.
All right, Prometheus, what's going on here? First you try to kill me and now you're helping me? Whose side are you on, really?
This? I took it from a psychotic progenitor named John Adams. Ever since then, he's been trying to kill me, I've been trying to kill him. It's sort of a thing we have.
In this story, Michael Ford teams up with the aliens from the first game who are now free from Adam's control thanks to him. You still have other aliens to fight, but most of the enemies are human enemies and robot hybrids. A little disappointing in my opinion because I love the alien variety from the first game, but this game also has a variety of enemies as well. It's just that the alien creatures looks more interesting visually and even attack you a bit differently from the first game, while this one is pretty much more the same, just more armor and maybe a slightly different gimmick. Just like the first game, you go from different locations completing different objectives. The first game had more story by unlocking doors and defusing multiple bombs, but the sequel cut all the padding out, and even though the developers didn't add much to replace it, in my opinion, it made the game feel better for it, and I had a more fun experience rather than fearing I'm wasting time in the first game, even though I enjoyed the first game for what it is. The weapons for the most part are the same. They did nerf some of the guns, like the strike rifle, my favorite gun, by equipping less ammo and being less powerful. I still like the weapon, but it's definitely a downgrade from the original. The new weapons I didn't use that much, mainly because they're so rare to find and they're situational. Like the one gun that can shoot through walls and the other gun that can make you invisible for a while. Those guns were fun to use, but overall the weapon selection was a bit disappointing. The graphic is an improvement in my opinion. I noticed they use more metal than usual. I guess it's because the Conduit engine helped makes metal look more like PS3 and 360 quality. I'm using that in air quotes. That's probably why Michael Ford has a metal suit, which makes him more like Master Chief from Halo. He's not a complete ripoff, but you can tell that they were inspired by Halo a little bit. Unfortunately, this game does have some technical problems, one of which is some of the voice cutscenes don't fully play, like it cuts in mid-sentence. I watched some other people's playthrough of this game, and they do have similar problems, but it happens in different areas, which is pretty weird. There's also some enemy glitches, which is pretty minor, nothing big deal, nothing game-breaking. And even though this is technically not a glitch, there are some Mario platforming in this game, and I feel like the platform's not structured well. Like when you try to jump on them, it always feels like you can't land on them properly. I mean, it doesn't result to death for the most part, at least from what I remember, but it does feel like they kind of rushed this out a little bit, even though they delayed this game a couple of times. Despite the negative criticism I have about this game, I still find some enjoyment in this game. I like the comedy in this story, even though the tone shift is pretty jarring at times. I like the different locations you go to based on all over the world, not just the United States. And although the gameplay is very simple, I like completing the objectives in each area. It kind of reminds me of Perfect Dark, which, the last game reminds me of GoldenEye. So I'm pretty sure High Voltage Software was inspired by Rarer and those games. And you can't prove me wrong on that one. I'm pretty convinced about that. For the first time in the series, they have boss battles. The first boss battle in the first stage is the best one in my opinion. in that area you go to different turrets and shoot it. It's definitely one of the big first impression for the game. It's a great way to show that not only is this it's not just a sequel, they improve on it on a whole lot with graphics, gameplay, and a huge boss battle to end it all. A very good first level in my opinion. The other battles are okay. Some of the attacks felt pretty cheap and unavoidable, but never too unfair. The final boss battle with John Adam was okay. I was expecting a little bit better, but it wasn't a bad battle. Oh, also, he's an alien, of course. After defeating John Adams, a giant conduit is activated and some warriors came out. But it's not just any warriors. It's George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and probably some other US president in the background. Then they get a good look at them, and the game ends in another cliffhanger. I really want a sequel in this series just to see what happens next. Like, if the first game was serious and the second game was kind of comedic, the third game, at best, story-wise, if it has to be so bad it's good, there's no way you can take this part pretty seriously. And I like the potential of playing as George Washington or Abraham Lincoln. Oh man, I really wish a Conduit 3 existed. The Conduit 2 overall made some steps forward and steps back. I like the visual, the story despite its change in tone, and the addition of boss battles. I was disappointed by the weapon selections. Not because they're bad, it's just they're mostly the same, and the new ones didn't really shine that much in my opinion. I also didn't like the technical issues and some missed opportunities, like not using Andromeda a bit more, maybe have her go into battle with you or even play as her. Although I wouldn't highly recommend this game, I do think it's worth giving it a try if you like first-person shooters. If you like the first game, I think you'll find some enjoyment in the second game, at least gameplay-wise. Story-wise, I'm not entirely sure, but I do give it a sort of recommendations. I don't think only go wrong exactly, but at the same time get it pretty cheap. The game didn't sell well, of course, only about 120,000 copies worldwide, and there was plan for a Conduit game for the 3DS. I think it was the port of the first game, but that's pretty much cancelled. I think we can all agree that High Fortress Software High Point was the Conduit series, but what are they doing now? Why don't we hear from them for the most part? Well, after the Conduit 2, they went back making TV licensed game based on cartoons mostly, but they also helped with some notable game series like Connect Star Wars, which is a bad example, but it's very recognizable, so I put it on there. But a better one is they did a port of the Zone of the Enders HD collection. They also helped with Saints Row 4 Reelected and Got Out of Hell. And the most recent and notable title is Fortnite Save the World. I believe it's story DLC. I don't play Fortnite, but High Fortress Software they seem to be doing alright. They're getting some work, working on some big project, on some well-known franchises, so at least they had that going for them. There is a video about them from Did You Know Gaming by Liam Robertson. Pretty much talk about the quote-unquote Splatoon predecessor. Take that with a grain of salt, but pretty much that video is about how Nintendo and High Fortress Software were working together before the Wii U was coming out. And well, I don't want to spoil too much. It's a skill to watch, and you understand why High Fortress Software is not as big as they were back in 2009. I really do hope they give the Conduit series another shot. They did make a Conduit HD for the phones, so I don't think Sega has complete control of the franchise. It seems like High Voltage Software could make another game without Sega help, and it's just something I am not knowing about. They could do like a Kickstarter thing, similar to how Platinum Games kickstarted the Wonderful 101. Maybe they can remaster the first two games and put it on current consoles. It's a I hope for that, but I kind of doubt that will happen. Or even if they tried, that it'd be that popular. But I'm hoping for at least a remake or a sequel to the series. Thank you for watching my retrospective. I hope you enjoyed it, and happy America Day. Hopefully I can get this game out around July 4th. I'm hoping on the day of. Even though this game's not really American as I thought it would be. You know, with the George Washington and Abraham Lincoln being in the game for a short while. But, you know, I still want to talk about this game and get it out during that time. Retrospective reviews is going to be my main focus. I'm not sure what series I'm going to do next. I'm thinking Paper Mario, maybe. Again, that's just a maybe. I'm going to do some regular reviews, and I'm not sure about Versus reviews. I'm kind of burnt out on that. But I'm also working with a new capture card, a new computer, so I'm trying to get adjusted to that. But hopefully you enjoy this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and have a nice day.